in the Lost Colony. She must not be here at the moment. Or, that's fine. Alright, so we're going to look at this. I think I'm going to bring it up on another tab. Hold on. Give me just a second. Let me change back my camera. Beep, 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 beep. Okay. Let's see. Studies. Let me get logged in. All right, let me share my screen. North Carolina. Let's go to week 12. All right, so this is the same thing as what you're seeing on your paper, just in color, obviously. So we're going to look into the Lost Colony. The Lost Colony is a group that became lost. They were settlers that came over to America, and they came over to Roanoke Island. And then we're going to learn about how they told, there was a group of them, they became lost. All right, so let's listen to it. Are y'all with me? We're on the first page. Can y'all hear? Yeah. Barely? Alright, hold on. Turn my volume up.
The door to my detective agency swung open. There stood a funny-looking guy with a beard wearing a puffy hat with a feather in it. He introduced himself as Wally. Wally what? I asked. Wally Raleigh, he replied. I told him to sit down and start talking. I offered him a root beer to loosen up his tongue, and then the whole thing spilled out. Standard beginning, missing persons case. The problem is this fella lost a whole colony. I asked where he saw it last, and he told me he'd never actually been there. This was getting weirder all the time, but I needed the dough, so I told him to go on. It seems this guy fell in love with a new continent called America. I started to tell him I knew the place he meant, but he just kept going. He said something about potatoes, tobacco, natives, shipwrecks, pirates, and some dame named Dare. I couldn't keep up, but as I said, I needed the dough, so I told him I'd poke around and see what I could turn up. It didn't look good. I told him so, but he was paying cash, so I didn't argue too much, if you know what I mean. I told my secretary to show Mr. Raleigh to the door, and when he was gone, I put on my trench coat and went to work. On the street, I opened my car door, cleared aside the empty Cheetos bags and Big Mac wrappers, and sat down behind the wheel. What kind of a guy would lose a whole colony? I looked out into the misty street. Somewhere out there, there were answers, and that's where my work begins. But don't worry, I'm a pro. Stick around, kid. You may learn something.
Alright, so let's turn over to the back where it says the Lost Colony. Alright, we're going to watch this video. Hopefully you guys can hear it. Hold on, let me make sure I put the captions on. The Roanoke Colony.
The story of Roanoke Colony is a mystery today as much as it was back in the early 1600s. Historians still do not know the answer to this age-old mystery. Sir William Raleigh was a British explorer in the late 1500s. He had heard of the riches in the New World. and he thought it would be profitable for Great Britain to establish a colony there. There were 2 exploratory voyages to the New World before Sir Raleigh thought it was suitable for settlers. The explorers that were sent over discovered beautiful land, great for farming and building homes. There were also 3 local Indian tribes, the Secotans, Croatoans, and Roanoks. The ship full of settlers arrived on Roanoke Island, which was where North Carolina is. They struggled with farming and had many setbacks as they tried to settle the land. And there began to be fighting with the once friendly Roanoke Indians, so the settlers returned to England. After 2 years, Sir Raleigh decided it was time to try again. So again, the settlers set sail for the New World. They arrived and attempted to again settle the land. After 2 years, they were struggling and sent Captain John White back to England to get supplies. Captain White returned to Roanoke Colony and found that everyone had disappeared. His journal says,
At my departure from them in 1587, I willed them that if they should happen to be distressed, that then they should carve a cross in this form, but we found no such sign of distress.
Still, historians do not know what happened to the settlers. They have begun to do archaeological digs in the Roanoke Colony area, but have yet to find any clues as to where these disappeared settlers had gone.
So so Sir Walter Raleigh is actually the state's capital of North Carolina is what? What's North Carolina's state capital? Raleigh. Okay, it's named after Sir Walter Raleigh. Making connections here. All right, so we're going to look at Sir Walter Raleigh's journal. Well, no, it's not Sir Walter Raleigh's journal. It's somebody's journal. Oh, it was the detective. This is the detective's journal of everything he has collected over a period of time. All right, it says day 1. Well, I've been poking around, like I said. I've got news. This Wally Raleigh is some important guy. Well, they don't know that. The most people call him Sir Walter. And here's another thing. He's not the first guy to fall in love with America either. It seems his half-brother, Humphrey Gilbert, died in a shipwreck in 1583 on the way home from the new land. I don't like the sound of that. Anyway, Gilbert had permission. It was called a charter, a document giving permission from the Queen of England to colonize the whole place. When he died, Queen was interested in... Wait a minute. Hold on a minute. When he died, Wally, or Sir Walter, took over the family business. I wondered at first why the Queen was interested in supporting their travels. I'm still wondering about that. But because America was a land some people said was filled with good soil and great riches, I've got a few good guesses. Day 2. I'm getting a little confused because so far there's no sign of any lost colony. Still, the story is getting more interesting. It seems Sir Walter Raleigh would have loved to come to America, but England was closer to war against Spain, and the Queen needed him. In fact, he never went back to America himself. Instead, his first expedition in 1584 was led by a couple of guys named Philip Amadas and Arthur Barlow, which we learned about last week. They brought back all sorts of interesting plants, including a potato and a tobacco plant, which no one in England had ever seen. They also brought back something much more interesting, 2 American Indians. One was a warrior named Manio, and the other was a young chief named Wanchus. They must have been a Strange sight for the English. Of course, the English probably looked pretty strange to the natives, too. Day 3. Aha! Finally, I'm getting somewhere. Today, it looks like I found a big piece of the puzzle. It seemed that in July 1587, the first colony of men, women, and children set up shop at Fort Raleigh, named after my mysterious client. They were led by John White, the governor of the new colony, who, if you remember, had been there before. He was the artist who went with Ralph Lane's bunch. The pilot of the ship, Simon Fernandez, had also been to America before on the same expedition. The colony brought enough food, tools, and other supplies to make their stay in America a permanent one. The following August, a famous baby was born. Maybe you've heard of her. Virginia Dare was her name. Why is she famous? She was the first English child born in the New World. By winter of the same year, supplies were running low, and Governor White set sail for England to try and find more. The colony promised him that if they had to move the colony for any reason, they carved the name of their new location into the bark of a tree. Ha, that's all good info for Wally when I call him, but I have a feeling this story is far from over. Day 4. Boy, now I know why I'm a private detective and not a sailor. Sailing the seas can be dangerous stuff. Just ask Governor White, who was tossed all across the ocean by storms until he finally reached England for supplies. Much later than he had planned. It was here that I almost lost the trail because there was big stuff going on in England, war with Spain. The Queen wouldn't let any ships leave England's port, but somehow White came up with a couple of ships. Once on the ocean, pirates attacked and took all of the supplies meant for the colonists. White returned to England, and because of the war, he couldn't get underway again until 1590. 2 years later, I wonder what he was thinking when he finally came in sight of America's shores. What about the colonists? Were they all right? Did they survive? The long years he'd been gone were near the end now. I can really feel it. Day 5. I can't believe it. This is where my detective trail ends. What kind of case is this anyway? Okay, let me slow down. When John White's ships landed, they didn't find a single person where the colony should have been. Zero, zilch, nada. That made everyone wonder. But wait, there was a clue carved in the bark of a tree. The one word, Croatoan. That may be just the clue we need. White's ship sailed down the coast for Croatoan, and some reports even say they saw light on the shore. But just when the mystery might have been solved, huge storms drove the ship back into the sea for days and days. There was nothing to do but sail back to England and leave the cases of the lost colony unsolved. And do you know what? The case is unsolved even today. Hundreds of years later, no one knows what happened to the lost colony. What am I going to tell Sir Walter? Conclusion. Sir Walter came in today. I had to tell him what I knew. No one's seen his lost colony anywhere. The case is unsolved, but not closed. In fact, we've got some of our top people working on it. Scientists have uncovered clues like colonial buttons, coins, and golden signet rings in areas where the colony might have settled. And what about that message on the tree? Anyway, maybe they went to Croatoan after all. Historians study the report written by everyone involved. Some of them suggest that the colonies headed for Chesapeake Bay, far from where anyone was looking for them. So did they go to Croatoan, or did they head to the bay? Did the colony split up with the colonists going two different ways? Evidence points in many directions. In fact, some people joke that maybe they were carried away by giant slap mosquitoes. Well, that didn't cheer Sir Walter up any. So I finally told him the whole bunch of our top kid agents were going to read these notes, and they may grow up to solve the mystery. Can you guess who I meant? That's right, you. If you really want to figure out what happened to the lost colony, it may be up to you to grab your detective notebook and get cracking. Good luck. All right, let's look at the Virginia Dare side. Let's look at Virginia Dare. Lost colony.
Virginia Dare was the first English child born in the New World, the daughter of Ananias and Eleanor Dare, and the granddaughter of the colony's governor, John White. Other than the fact that she was born on August 18, 1587, and that she was the second person baptized in the colony, no one knows much about Virginia.
Molly.
But she somehow became an object of fascination and inspiration for the last 400 years. She's been sculpted, notably by Louise Lander in 1859, painted and immortalized in poems and in books. There's even an American Indian legend about a white doe that appeared on Roanoke Island, believed to be the spirit of Virginia. Of course, the most famous tribute to Virginia Dare and the members of the Lost Colony is probably a play written by Paul Green in 1937. Through drama, dance, and song, their story is presented every year at Fort Raleigh National Historic Site. There are also many other things named after Virginia Dare: a road, a hotel ballroom, tea, coffee, cocoa, even a type of vanilla extract. That's a lot of things named for a little girl whose life will always be a mystery.
Alright, it says Virginia Dare was the first child born to English parents in the New World. Her parents were Ananias and Eleanor Dare. Eleanor was the daughter of John White, the governor of the colony. That makes Virginia the granddaughter of the governor. Virginia was born August 18, 1587. She was the second person who was baptized in the colony. The first was Manio, an American Indian who could speak English and wanted to worship with the colonists. Manio was one of the American Indians who traveled to England in 1584 with Philip Amadas and Arthur Barlow. No one knows much about Virginia, but she has inspired many people over the last 400 years. One American Indian legend tells the story of a white doe that appears on Roanoke Island. The American Indians believed that the white doe was the spirit of Virginia. In 1859, Lois Lander sculpted a likeness of Virginia. The sculpture is in the Elizabethan Garden of Roanoke Island. In 1901, Sally Southall wrote a poem about the American Indian legend of the white doe, and in 1988, William Hooke wrote a book about the same legend. The most famous tribute to Virginia and the members of the Lost Colony is a play written by Paul Green in 1937. The play tells the story of the Lost Colony through drama, dance, and song. It's performed every year in Fort Raleigh National Historical Sites. You might be surprised to know that many things are named after Virginia Dare: a road, hotel barroom, and a kind of vanilla extract, tea, coffee, and cocoa. All of those things were named for a little girl whose life will probably always be a mystery. There's like Dare County. That's one of the things it's named after. We are going to we're gonna stop right there for now. You need to hold on to this, put your name on it so you can have it for tomorrow. We're gonna really need it all week. And then y'all will get yours back because y'all will end up doing the crossword puzzle and the assessment this week on Friday, I believe. So, I'm gonna let you